ever wonder why it seems like you're always getting sick? You have low energy, always feeling fatigued, getting migraines, and just not feeling overall like an energetic, healthy person? These effects in your body may be due to gaslighting. My name is Dr. Felucia, and I'm a licensed psychologist. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing how gaslighting affects your body. The symptoms that I just described at the beginning of the video, low fatigue, I'm low energy, fatigue, feeling just pain all over your body, not feeling like your best self, having low energy. These are all things that can happen in your body due to gaslighting. And I encourage you to watch my other videos on gaslighting if you don't know what it is. But gaslighting is a tool that is used by emotionally abusive people who also, and these doesn't have to be just emotional abuse, people who are spiritually abusive or engage in any type of psychological abuse. One of their weapons of choice is gaslighting. And gaslighting works in order to control you, basically by making you doubt your ability to perceive your reality accurately. And by doing this, whoever is engaging in this behavior then controls you. And but it's a subversive way of control. Okay, so back to the question at hand: how does this affect your body? The symptoms that I described earlier can happen when you are under chronic stress. Now, if you have been a victim of gaslighting, you can understand firsthand the stress that these people put you through, right? You have difficulty with all sorts of things. And when this is happening in your mind, when you're dealing with emotional turmoil, when you're dealing with sadness, anxiety, numbness, all these other things, it affects your body. One thing that you need to remember is that our minds and our bodies are not separate, they're connected. So, what affects our bodies affects our minds, and what affects our minds affects our bodies. And so, when you are in a situation when you are repeatedly devalued, when you are repeatedly made to feel like your opinions and your thoughts don't matter, or your perception of the world is not accurate, you begin to turn inward, right? If you have ever been the victim of gaslighting, you know that there's certain things that are not safe to do around somebody who is gaslighting you. Things are either unsafe or unproductive. So, for instance, expressing your emotions around somebody who gaslights you is an exercise in futility. At the very least, you're wasting your time and draining your emotional energy. And on the other side of the pendulum, those emotions can be used against you to try to make you feel like you're crazy, that you're too sensitive, that you can't sense reality accurately. And so, what ends up happening over time is that you learn to suppress those emotions. You might hear the phrase stuffer, somebody who just stuffs their emotions inside. But something that we in the mental health field are aware of is that emotions, when they're suppressed, they have to go somewhere and they have to show up somewhere. They don't just disappear, right? And so there are plenty of studies that have shown emotional states and how they're linked to certain physical symptoms. In the case of being a victim of gaslighting, you learn as a coping mechanism to not express your emotions, especially around the person that is gaslighting you. You tend to doubt your emotions. So even if you want to express an emotion, you might feel, well, there's something wrong with me if I express anger or sadness or anxiety or whatever it is. And so you find ways to avoid it, but it's going to show up in your body, unfortunately. So sometimes people might have chronic pain, right? I'm going to, before I go over the list of symptoms, I'm going to cite a theory by a Canadian physician named Gabor Mate. If you've seen his materials online, he does a lot of work around trauma and how it shows up in our body. And he talked about the concept of self-silencing. And he said that self-silencing is linked to it's linked to autoimmune conditions. So basically, when we are silencing ourselves, it shows up in our body and basically by our immune system attacking itself. And so it's really important to remember that if a lot of people say, a lot of people do not have a specific answer to why they have an autoimmune disorder. It's autoimmune disorders don't have a specific cause, but I believe that something that can contribute to that is being a victim of emotional or psychological or spiritual abuse, specifically in the form of gaslighting. So what are some of the things that can happen? I talked about chronic pain, right? Sometimes that emotional pain that's not safe for you to express can show up in your body. Through chronic physical pain. Another thing is insomnia. I can't tell you how many people who have been victims of gaslighting who have horrible sleep. Think about it, it makes sense, right? You're up at night thinking about the horrible things that have been happening to you, how you've been talked down to, how you've been devalued. One thing about gaslighting is it causes people to chronically doubt themselves. And one way that self doubt can show up is through rumination. Rumination is thinking about the same thing over and over and over again. And just like the gaslighter tries to tear you down over and over and over again, you are trying to figure out things in a repetitive manner because they don't make sense, right? And that's what the gaslighter wants. Because you are having a difficult time or maybe unable to accurately perceive your reality due to the no fault of your own, but due to the chronic abusive experience, then you're going to be trying to sort all this out. So you're going to have a lot of rumination. You're going to be having difficulty sleeping. And when you can't sleep well, that affects so many things in your body. So lowered immunity, they found that people who are under a lot of stress or people who have difficulty expressing their emotions have a reduced immune response, which means you're going to get sick more often. Okay, so we have chronic pain, we have difficulty sleeping. And again, that difficulty sleeping opens you up to a host of so many problems. Also, migraines. They found that people who are having migraines or headaches, it's not the full cause of it, but stress and abuse can contribute to that. And so this is another way that gaslighting can affect your body. You might see, changes in things like your blood pressure, right? When people are under, we know that stress affects blood pressure, and so you might see some spikes or some increased numbers with that. I talked about sleep, I talked about fatigue. Well, another thing is fatigue, right? And so when you are worn down emotionally and spiritually and psychologically, that fatigue is going to show up in your body. Think about it. If you are spending so much time in your mind trying to reassure yourself that you're a normal person and that you're not crazy, you're not you can see the world around you clearly, that takes energy, right? And so you're not really present in your body when you're going through all this, and you can just feel very fatigued as a result. Another obvious reason is if you're not getting good sleep, then of course you're going to feel fatigued during the day. And so I want you to remember these things. And the most important thing, if you get anything from this video, is I don't want you to blame yourself. Unfortunately, our society can engage in a lot of victim blaming, and they don't understand the how what's the word I'm looking for, how devastating emotional abuse through gaslighting can be. And so if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, I'd recommend that get professional help, but also understand that this is your body's normal reaction to dealing with abuse. And I don't want you to look at yourself and say, oh, this autoimmune condition is my fault, or this and this is because of this, I did something wrong. Don't blame yourself. I want you to have compassion on yourself, and I want you to make your self-care a priority. So I hope that helps you. If you have any questions about this, you want to book a free consultation with me, you can go to my website, skillsetcounseling.com, click on the orange button to book a free consultation. If you don't hear from me within a couple of days, email me directly at drfalucia@skillsetcounseling.com. So I would like to hear from you all in the comments. Have you seen, if you've experienced gaslighting before, how do you feel like it's affected you physically, and what did you do about it? I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that you, get the help that you need. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day that's filled with peace. Bye-bye.